All right, let's check this one out.
About why I decided to leave my ex-husband. Keep in mind, before I left him, I was having all of these really like gut-wrenching feelings in our apartment. I had left town for about a week and a half because I had gotten my gallbladder removed, and we were fighting, and he told me that he couldn't take care of me and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be with family to process everything and decide what I want to do with my life. And I literally couldn't sit up out of bed on my own, and he said that he was not going to be there to help me. So I was like, okay, I need to go.
It's a long video, so I'm going to, not react to it while in live. This is the insanity. How do you get to the point where you married a man that wouldn't be there when you're I don't know, sick or whatever? Did you never get sick before? This is the thing where I said this before. Where I said this before, where I don't understand how women vet men. How do you vet men? Haven't you been? It's like, weren't you there through thick and thin? So you weren't there. He wasn't there when you haven't. You didn't see how he was when you were sick. Did he not take care of you when you were sick? Throughout your whole relationship, you never been sick. You never needed to be taken care of, because this is the problem where I believe women aren't vetting men properly. Do you know how he's like when he's sad, when he's mad, when he's happy, when he's angry? You need to know this. You need to know what type of man he is when he's in all these kind of different situations. That's why, in all honesty, this is the importance of finding your partner when you're young. When you're young, okay? So you have enough time to vet people. You have enough time. There's no rush. It will take you a year, 2 years to vet a person properly. It's really ridiculous how it's like, it seems like you barely know the person, then you just got married.
Get some help because come on. So the whole time that I was home with family and had left and everything, he completely ignored me. I could not get a hold of him. No matter how many times I tried to call him, text him, like no response. So I was spiraling because I was like, okay, at this point I hadn't asked for a divorce. I hadn't like officially left. I just had left because I just got my gallbladder removed. And I was spiraling. I was like, I can't even get a hold of my husband. Like, this is not okay. This is not healthy. And I start spiraling because I'm having all these gut feelings that, like, he's bringing a girl to our apartment. Like, he's cheating on me. Like, what is happening? I finally got a hold of him one night and he answered my FaceTime call. It was probably like a 5-minute phone call, and he probably said like 2 words the entire time. Like, he just stared at me. There was nothing in his eyes. He just was looking right through me, like, would not say a word. And I was like, can you just talk to me? Can you communicate with me so that we can like figure out what's going on? Like, why are you so upset? Why, like, what is happening? He was really upset that I went home to be with family because he's like, well, I should be taking care of you. And I said, well, I don't understand because you just told me you couldn't take care of me. So I decided to go home. I was like, dude, like, what do you want from me here? When I finally realized that he was not going to talk to me, was not going to communicate with me, I just said, okay, I love you. And he just stared at me. Guys, I kid you not, he just stared at me. I'm not even exaggerating. So I said it again. I was like, I love you. And he just stared at me. And I was like, why can't you say I love you? And he ended up just hanging up the phone. He never said I love you. So I texted him and I was like, why can't you say I love you to me anymore? Like, why is that so hard for you? And he said, I'm trying to love you, but it's just so hard. When I tell you my heart shattered into a million pieces, no woman wants to hear that, especially from their husband. And so at that point, I just basically cried myself to sleep. Because I'm like, okay, I can't get my husband to talk to me whatsoever, so we can't work through this, we can't communicate. He just said that it's hard to love me. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I had just gotten my gallbladder removed. My health was at the worst place possible. I literally, at this point, threw.
Now, this is the thing where I always like to say this: it's a one-sided story. One-sided story. Women will rarely say how they treat a man. They will rarely say how they treat a man, how he got to this certain point. Okay, so I always like to preference that, because here's the thing where women don't do that. You don't say how you treat him. Maybe, and I'm not trying to, necessarily make excuses for him, but there are things that we need to understand. Why did this man fall out of love with this woman that he married? Mistreated him, I don't know, argue with him, number of reasons. So here's the thing where I always like to say I'm not religious. So in my personal opinion, you have no kids, leave, break up. There's nothing holding you back. Since there's nothing holding you back, stop it. Like marriage for me is like, to be honest, if you don't have kids, if you didn't make that step to that level of responsibility, because you should not, okay, jump to that level of responsibility if you weren't 100% or as close to 100% uh, understanding your partner. Okay, don't make that jump. So since you not at that level of commitment, and where it's just you can't think about yourself anymore. You got to think about the kids. Just leave. That's it. Because if you're both unhappy, he's unhappy. Obviously, he doesn't love you anymore. You're unhappy. Obviously, just break up. Because do it as fast as possible. So you're not lingering. Because I don't. To be honest, for that man too, if he's at the point where he doesn't love her anymore, if it's too hard to love her, end it. Just end it. A lot of times we waste time. We do waste time. It's needless. You don't love her because one, you didn't want to take care of her when she was sick or when she was, I guess sick. I mean, I don't know what you say, injured or whatever. And then you say it's too hard to love you. You should end it yourself, but she should definitely end it too.
All of the abuse within the relationship and stuff, I had just literally lost myself, felt like a literal shell of myself, and I just was so lost. But at this
I mean, unless she's not telling everything, nothing she said sounds like abuse. Maybe neglect, maybe there's no love. Yeah, abuse. Come on, it gets really tiring where we don't we weaken the meanings of words.
point, I still didn't know if I was going to get divorced. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I honestly think that he wanted an out, but he didn't know how to do it, which he did tell me that one time before. He said that if we ever get divorced, you're going to have to be the one who leaves me because I don't have the guts to do it myself. Excuse me, sir? Who the hell says that? What? And when he said that, it's not even like we were talking about divorce. He just randomly was like, yeah, if we ever get divorced, you're going to have to be the one who leaves me because I'm not going to have the guts to do it to myself.
Maybe you should saw that red flag. If he's thinking about divorce already, in that sense, prenups are good. They're fine. They're great. But in that sense, he's kind of copping out. He's like, oh, if we're gonna divorce, you're gonna have to do it. First of all, you sound weak, man. Like seriously, throw some balls. And second of all, it's like, really, you already thinking about what's gonna happen then? Like,
Sir. I truly believe
but at the very least, if he's saying that, how about take a bit more time getting to know him? Okay, flesh the relationship a bit more. If you've been together a year, 2 years, how about make it four? So you I really think that people got to not rush. This is a thing where, especially when you're young, in your early 20s, take your time, get to know the person. Okay, commit, but get to know the person. And take your time, but don't waste your time. Take your time, get to know, like I said, every facet. When he's angry, when he's sad, when he's mad. I mean, when he's like, I don't know, how he's happy. What happens if he loses? What is he like when he loses his job or can't find a job? Like, get to know a person in all facets or as many facets as possible, so you can understand how they would react. Because that's the important thing. You know how certain people would react and how you would deal with that reaction.
At this point, he was just trying to make my life so incredibly miserable so that I would leave. There was one night that I literally felt like I was just like praying to God and just kind of like wrestling with God, like, tell me what to do, like I don't know what to do. And I remember just feeling a ton of peace, but just feeling like I needed to stay home with family a little bit longer. And I knew that if I told him that, he was going to be super upset because he was already pissed that I was even home with family. Like, he was so upset about it, which I think was the main reason why he decided to give me the silent treatment and not talk to me. But like, come on, grow up. I told him the next day that I was staying longer. No response. Like, he was upset at this point. I was just like, whatever. Then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go home because, you know, I just felt like I need to go work on our relationship. Like, I need to figure this out, figure out what I'm gonna do. So I go back to where we were living. Keep in mind, the whole time that I was home with family, I hadn't had like a panic attack at all. I go back and get in the car with him, and immediately my body starts freaking out. Like, I feel like my throat is closing. I start like full on just panicking, like panic mode. When I got in the car, he was not even happy to see me, which no one knew that he was like this behind closed doors, because as soon as we would get around people, he'd put on this face and be his bubbly, happy self. But then as soon as we were behind closed doors and in private, like, he would just shut down and just like be so pissed at me and couldn't.
I mean, this is why you take your time getting to know someone on all facets. That is not a good thing. That is honestly a man that can manipulate. That is a man that has two faces. No. Okay. Let's say if it was hypothetically me, I would just like, no, I couldn't do it. I was like, if I'm mad, I'm not going to change it. Oh, be happy. You know, no, I'm just going to be miserable. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't, I think people who can turn emotions on and off very easily are are good manipulators.
Get a response out of him. And so it's like no one knew this was happening, but it was so manipulative. So at this point, I'm back in his presence. I'm having a full-blown panic attack. Like, my body's literally responding. My body was quite literally rejecting him. I remember after that panic attack, I was like, I just had this feeling like that's my answer. I can't do this anymore. And I just remember being like, no human should have to live like this, in this much stress and misery, and like not even feeling safe around your partner. And I remember walking back into our apartment. Keep in mind, I had been gone, like I said, for like a week and a half at this point. And I go back into our apartment and I just felt sick. Like, I felt like I was gonna vomit in there. I did not want to stay the night there. I felt physically ill. And I just had this gut feeling that someone else had been there when I was gone. And you guys, like, I can't even describe the feeling. I just felt so ill. My mom was there and I told her, I was like, I think I need to get a divorce. I'm just like sobbing. And she was like, because she didn't know anything that was happening behind the scenes. My mom and my ex-husband did not get along, though. They did not like each other. That was very clear. But my mom was in shock and she's like, okay, let's call your dad. So I call my dad sobbing, tell him what's going on. And he basically said, like, we'll support you in whatever you choose to do. But he said, and this will always stick with me, he's like, the Lord does not expect you to be miserable, which gave me peace too. And just knowing, like, this is not how marriage should be. This is not from God. If it was, then it would not be abusive, manipulative. It would not be causing me this much stress and chaos in my life. So at that point, that was kind of the boost and the reassurance that I needed from my family. They weren't saying, yes, get a divorce, but they basically just said, we'll support you in whatever you decide to do. I stayed in a hotel that night with my mom because I could not step foot in our apartment. It made me ill. And then the next morning, I packed up my stuff and I left. Let me know if you guys want a part 2, because there's so many details that I can't even. This is part 2 of why I got divorced, or like, who the F did I marry? So I left off in last part saying that after that I packed up and left. I only grabbed a few things. I didn't grab all of my stuff because I was like, I just gotta get out of here, number 1. And number 2, I didn't want to go in the apartment because it made me feel so ill just being in there. And I had so much stuff to get out of my apartment, so I figured I'd come back up in a couple of weeks with my parents and a truck and a trailer and get the rest of my stuff. So a lot of people don't actually know this, but about a month before we got married, I actually broke off the engagement. We took our rings off and everything, and I remember just feeling like this overwhelming amount of peace. And sometimes I wish I would have just listened to that because I felt like God was telling me, like, don't marry this guy. So I broke our engagement off, and then about an hour later I get a call from him, and he's like, can I come over? Can I talk to you? Like, he's like distraught. I was like, yes, like, you can come over. So again, this is like a month before we got married. He comes over to my apartment and he just starts sobbing, like bawling his eyes out. He's grabbing my face, shaking my face, saying like, I can't do this life without you. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, just sobbing hysterically. And I had never seen him in this state before. So
You know, this is a thing where I find it when men use emotional, what I say, emotional acts, like just crying, right? Heavy crying. It's trying to manipulate. It is. You're trying to, because this is a thing where women are very easily manipulated by emotional reactions. I don't know, emotional actions. You know, like the crying thing. Okay, like the crying thing is an emotional action. So they're easily manipulated by that because women themselves are emotional creatures, are just they're heavily emotional creatures. Men are emotional too, okay? But women are more emotional creatures. So in turn, they can be easily emotionally manipulated by actions like that uh, is facilitated by emotional things, right? Like you're crying to your girlfriend. So this is a thing where I think that's a big key to know that that person is trying to emotionally manipulate you. Okay. Um, one of the things that my mom usually do, okay, is she starts crying. If she's in an argument or conversation and she doesn't like where it's going, she starts crying. She starts crying, and then you feel bad, and then you want to say, "Fine, I'm a fault. I'm sorry," and it's her manipulation technique. Um, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's a manipulation technique. Okay, so essentially, he's using a manipulation technique, which is this is a thing where I think it's stupid. Okay, I think it's stupid in the sense that one, I'm not saying you should do it, but again, he doesn't really love her that much. Yet he's trying so hard to get with her. He's trying so hard to, keep her. And I just think that's stupid because you could see what he would do later on when he has her. He has her and he doesn't want her anymore. I think that's stupid, right? But I think that's part of this is why these men like this are what would I say? Um More like I guess they want I don't know. It's like I'm thinking about like I'm trying to figure out why. Okay, I'm trying to break down why does he still want to keep her or get her when honestly he does other actions that he doesn't want her. I don't know. Sometimes it's just these maybe it's ego, right? Maybe it's ego. Maybe these kind of manipulation techniques where he doesn't care. He just doing something that he feels like he wants to keep her. But you know what? When he's done with her, he doesn't want anymore. It's kind of disgusting, but
part of me was just like, are you okay? And I just hugged him and like comforted him in that moment, because like, yes, I broke our engagement off, but that was really hard for me because I loved him and I still really cared about him even though he was continuously hurting me. So he's like begging me like, please don't leave me, like I can't do this, I can't do this. And I basically told him, I will do whatever it takes, let's make this work. And I stayed with him and we just got back together just like that, kind of acted like nothing happened, which that was a common occurrence. We would get in these big fights and then we would just act like nothing happened and go back to cuddling the next minute. Like, it was so freaking toxic.
That's the thing where I've said this before. I think women lie when they say, "Oh, these men lie." So you don't you never. Women always say that. Oh, men are lying. They don't. You don't know if you got with a bad man. You do. You do. That is a again. That is a one thing. He's crying. That's a clear manipulation technique. So that is not. You know, that's a red flag. And then these other red flags, you argue, put it, you, you argue, and then you put it away. Then like completely. It's like that. The whole thing where I honestly believe when you don't hash out disagreements clearly, it's a red flag too. So I honestly believe that it's a lie that women say, "Oh, these men lie." I mean, not saying that these men don't lie, but again, you do see the red flags. You just decide to ignore it.
Probably would have saved myself a lot of grief if I would have just listened to that feeling that I had that, I wasn't meant to be with him. But I did love him and we had been through a lot together. I waited for him through boot camp for the Army. He proposed to me right before he left for boot camp and we rode each other all of boot camp. And I just felt like I needed to see it through and I needed to do whatever I needed to do to make it work, because I know, they always say marriage is hard and stuff. And I was very, very young. I was only 18 when I got married and I didn't.
Seriously? 18? Honestly, her parents failed her. Her parents failed her. Because this is a thing where how long did you know this man? And he wasn't a man. I mean, I'm assuming that if she's 18, this guy has to be 18 to 19, maybe 20. This this man was barely a man. This is the point where you take your time. I swear to God, the parents failed her. I would have said, take your time, hold your horses. I mean, you could still be together. You don't have to get married. I mean, like you want to, this is the thing where, in my opinion, a lot of people disagree with this opinion. It's fine. It's understandable why, but you should live together before you get engaged. I honestly believe that you're in a relationship, you're apart, live together for maybe a year or so, then get engaged, then get married, then have kids. But there should be, maybe a year for every stage, a year, maybe 2 years, right? You know, for one of the stages, whatever. Take your time. If you are 18, you had time on your hands. This is why, and in my opinion, I say this a lot too. Why it's important to find the find your find the best options you can in your early years, in your 20s, okay? Maybe even in your late teens. Find him, vet him properly, okay? Take your time, like 2, 3 years, right? Underst- understand every facet. Because if I'm a dad talking to my daughter, I say, "Oh, how's he like when he's angry? How's he like when he's broke? What is he like when he's broke? When he doesn't have money? What is he like when he loses a job? What is he like when he doesn't have a job? Right? What is he like when you're sick?" It's like vet a man, vet him properly. What is he like, right? When you are sick? What is he like when he's sick? What is it like when you guys live together? Are you mad that he doesn't do chores, or are you mad that he tells you to do all the chores? Shit like that. You figure it out. You vet each other properly. Same with a man. He needs to he this is the thing where a man needs to do the same thing. Be straight up. Stop with the bullshit. Stop with the manipulation. Stop with the lying. Okay? How does she treat you when she's mad? How does she treat you? How does she ask you to do something for her? How does she ask you? Is it nagging? Is she yelling at you to do something? This is why it's important. Like, we're not teaching the generation how to vet each other properly.
Didn't really have a lot of self-respect and a lot of self-love, and I didn't really understand that this wasn't normal behavior. People often ask me why I broke off the engagement, and there was so many reasons. I mean, you guys, there was so many red flags before I even married him that I just figured, like, for some reason in my mind, I thought when we get married, things will just get better. They will just get better, everything will be better. That's the biggest lie ever. If there's red flags in dating, they're just going to amplify in marriage. A big reason I broke off our engagement was actually because of his mom, which I've never really talked about his mom on this platform, but me and his mom did not get along whatsoever. She was pretty much the definition of a narcissist, and I started seeing those traits come out in my ex-husband, and it scared the shit out of me. His mom did not like me from day one. She thought that her son was too good for me, and she came between us a lot, and a lot of our fights were about his mom because I feel like he would always choose his mom over me, which, girls, is a huge red flag. But he basically told me I can control my own actions, but I can't control my mom's, and at the time that was enough for me, I guess. I just had a really
Let me say this, okay? I've been there. I've been there. When I was young, okay, in my early 20s, I met a woman that honestly was amazing. Right? She was beautiful. She was kind. She was very loving. She loved me a lot. She was of a different race. Okay, she was black. At the time, I was scared. Okay, my mom was disapproving of it. My mom wouldn't like that stuff. So I sadly, I mean, it's a long story. So just to make it short is that I broke it off because I didn't want the disapproval of my mom. But after a while, I came to and I was living under my mom's roof. Okay, I was living under my mom's roof. My mom was pretty much taking care of me. But I came to realize that I miss this woman. I love this woman, and I realized that I was still a boy. I wasn't a real man. I didn't have control of my destiny. Didn't have control of who I wanted to be with. Uh, Although it was a hard point in my life, and she was she was a relationship I will always regret. You know, so I came to realize that I needed to move out. I needed to move out. I needed to get a job. I needed to be a man that I'm proud of. You know, so that I set boundaries with my mom. I changed my mindset. I changed I try to be the best man I could be. Okay, by being control of my own life, right? Control of my own destiny. What I perceive as being a man, where you can stand on your boundaries, where you're not um, being provided for, okay? Because because the provision, being provided for by my mom, I was controlled by it. So you know, I wanted out, right? Get my own place, have a job, paying for myself. So it was a lot of growing. So this is a thing where if a man is, in my personal opinion, you know, so controlled by his mom, um, and all that stuff, it is a red flag. It is a red flag because then you can't set boundaries. You can't. You're not you're not the leader of your own life.
hard time with his mom in general because she treated everyone in her life so poorly, and everyone just allowed that behavior, and it was just like, yeah, that's just the way she is, and that's just how she is and the type of person she is. And she'd say that too. She's like, I am the way that I am, and you either like it or you don't. And it was just like so unhealthy and so toxic. And the whole family dynamic was just, I was just really struggling with it, because you don't just marry that person, you marry their family. And yeah, you guys, there was so many red flags. Like, looking back, I was like, I just wish I could give younger me a hug, because like, I feel like deep down in my gut I knew, but at the same time I just wanted to be loved so badly that I was just like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I will figure this out. But a lot of our core values didn't even align, and like where we wanted to end up and how we wanted to raise our children, like core things were not even aligning. And for some reason we were like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Like, what? No, honey. No. Anyways, fast forward back to I left.
And this is a thing where, why? It's like, this is why you take your time. This is why you vet properly. This is why the importance of parents actually teaching their kids better. Seriously, if your values don't even align, how you want to raise kids, which is so important, why are you together? It's like, this is the thing where you can't. Where I've said this before, where when I have no sympathy for women in the dating market, okay, when it comes to relationship dynamics. Because at the end of the day, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. You saw the red flags, you saw the problems, you saw the issues. Um, you still ignored it.
Him about a week after I left him, I found out he had a girlfriend, which red flag, like what? I remember very vividly when I first heard that he had a girlfriend. I was in my bed and I just started shaking uncontrollably. Like, my body was just like shaking. I didn't sleep that whole night, and then that morning I started vomiting. I got up and went and used the bathroom, and I was just still.
Maybe this is a bit controversial in my opinion. Okay, maybe it's a bit controversial. This is why I don't think young men marrying early is a good thing. Don't think young men marrying early is a good thing, because honestly, I think a lot of men develop in mindset very late. There's a magnitude of reasons. I just don't think men they haven't developed a mindset quick enough, in the sense that they are not good partners. Okay, they're not good enough partners at such an early age. Okay, for what a woman needs, right? For what a woman needs, emotional intelligence, uh, emotional experiences in life. Women women crave a man with experience, right? Whatever kind. Okay, um, you know, other traits, sense of stability, sense of leadership, uh, just a lot of things that you gain with life experience. You know, a young man, I don't think he's suited to be, a marriage partner. Now, this is the thing where what can counteract that is that you get with him when he was young, you build, you go through it. You don't rush it. That's the thing. Don't rush to marriage. Now, you can gain that life experience with him, you know, go on that ride with him, right? Gain that life experience with him while he's doing it. Just don't get married to him right away. That's the thing. Okay? I'm not saying that, oh, you need to marry an older man. No, you don't. I mean, you don't necessarily have to. I'm just saying that don't jump to that level of commitment, marriage, so quickly. Men need life experience. 100%. I don't believe women do, but men definitely.
Shaking, and I just started like throwing up. Just the thought that he could he could move on that quickly. Just the thought of that alone, and that he was with another girl. And again, I was like, is this like, I was having that gut feeling that someone was in our apartment when I was gone. I was like, is this the girl he was bringing there? Like, you know, all of these thoughts are going through my head. I'm like, was he cheating on me this whole time? Like, I just started vomiting. My body was like, couldn't take the stress anymore. And yeah, at this point I started posting some pretty petty TikToks because I had heard some things from people in my life and I was really hurt. Well, of course, people are sending him these TikToks. He sees these TikToks, so he starts texting me and threatening me. He's like threatening to get a private detective to investigate me and see if I broke into his Instagram. He's telling me I'm a liar, and he's like, how did you even find this out? How did you find out this information? And I'm like, that's none of your business, first of all. And at this point, I blocked him and just kind of stopped responding because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna argue with you right now over this. But honestly, like, hearing that he moved on so quickly and that he was with this girl and everything, it honestly, like, I needed that in a lot of ways because I still at this point was like romanticizing him, and I had such a trauma bond to him that I still was just like so heartbroken. But hearing that he moved on so quickly, like, it really changed the amount of respect that I had for him, and I was just like pissed. Like, my angry phase in the healing phase came out right here, and I was just like pissed. But it also allowed me to like take him off this pedestal and be like, what the hell? Like, I was crying over him. So I don't have proof that he was with that girl when I was married to him. Like, I don't know. Like I said, all I'm going off of is gut feelings. But he did have a girlfriend about a week after I left him. I'm assuming that they were probably seeing each other when we were still married, because I'm like, the timeline is not adding up here. And like, where did you meet this girl? Like, I still don't have any of that information. No idea. So he actually ended up marrying this girl the same year. So he got divorced and remarried in the same year. That was back in 2023. So I left in January. Our divorce was finalized in March. It was really quick because no children or anything were involved. And then I don't really know when he got engaged, but sometime later that year, and then he got married in December. So yeah, he got divorced and remarried the same year, and he got married to the girl that he was dating a week after I left him. Like, it's just not adding up. It's just not adding up to me. You know?
For me, is that like this is the problem with a lot of men, where stop rushing shit as well. It's like we complain about divorce, we complain about but then it's like we rush shit. We don't vet women properly. Now, this man is probably seems like a jerk of a guy, so whatever. But I mean, I think a lot of men do rush things as well. You know, so why you you're jumping into marriage already? Now, he's probably still he's young, right? Probably in his still his 20s, so he has nothing to his name. So yeah, I get it. You know, it doesn't matter. But it's like, yo, like why rush it?
What I mean? Let me know if you guys want a part 3. There's
All right, that's it. No part three. I just wanted. I mean, it's not like any crazy kind of video. I'm just thinking. I wanted to, listen to. I think it's a good thing to listen to women's experiences. So you could just understand the things they went through, and um, understand women more. Okay, because this is the process, right? I honestly believe that women don't vet men properly. Let's say we hear like let's the Kendra G stuff. All these baby mamas. A theory I have is that a lot of these baby mamas, they didn't know the men that long. They didn't know the men that well, and they still gave these men kids. So it's kind of part of building my theory where a lot of women barely know these men. They barely know these men. They don't know these men well enough. They don't. So I don't know. What do you guys think?